And we are live on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. This is Success Strategies with Zhana, live from London. And we will be talking about relationships. We want you to call in 515-605-9325. Press 1 when you're ready to speak and share your thoughts. Joining us today will be Attorney Wende Williams, family law attorney, and from London, then the UK, Ebony Empress, the radio show host.
Will go live in 5 seconds. 4,
I'll be right back.
3, 2, 1. Law Talk Radio. Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, executive producer of the Female Solution radio show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and participate in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, ni hao. In India, namaste. In Japan, konnichiwa. In Korea, annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, здравствуйте. In Germany, guten Tag. In Poland, dzień dobry. In France, bonjour. In Spain, hola. In West Africa, in Ghana, akwaba. In Nigeria, peleo. In South Africa, sawubona. In Senegal, mangade. In Kenya, jambo. In Israel, shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Saudi Arabia, assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all.
The Female Solution Global Radio TV show invites you to an invigorating conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Self-Care with Jody Susan. Wednesdays, Repairing Broken Families with Naima Latif and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And Fridays, Health and Wellbeing with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Success Strategies with Zhana. Second Saturday, Wende Williams Esquire on relationships. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. And fourth Saturday, Wisdom with Mama D. Join us Sundays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to the host and be a part of the solution. Well, grand rising. And thank you all for joining. We've got Zhana here live from London for Success Strategies with Zhana, our first Saturday host.
Great.
And we want you all to call in 515-605-9325 and press 1 and give us your insight, your experience, because today we're talking about relationships. You know, Friday February is always when people think about relationships because, you know, Valentine's Day and all of that. But Zhana, give us your thoughts today because so many people are in relationships that are crumbling and they don't know how to make them work. What are you observing that's happening in relationships today?
Yeah, well, it's very sad what you're happening, what you're talking about. Something like 50% of all marriages end in divorce. And I've been divorced, so I know what that's like to a certain
Wow.
extent. I just want to first say hi to everybody. This is Zhana. I'm the author of Success Strategies for Black People, and I host the annual blogging Carnival of Violence. And I'm your host for today and on the first Saturday of every month. Here on the Success Strategies show, every month we seek to help you and support you to find solutions to your problems. We're here to help you make 2022 your best year yet. So as Naima just said, we're focusing on relationships. Please phone in with your questions for my guests. If you're outside of the United States, the number is 001-515-6025. What am I saying? 515-605-9325. Right? Okay, wake up, Shauna. That number again, 001 515-605-9325. And you can also join us on Facebook at The Female Solution and on YouTube at The Female Solution. I'm very privileged to be joined by two relationship experts today. My second guest, Ebony Empress, will be joining us later in the program. My first guest is Wende Williams, family law attorney who's currently running for judge. And I believe she's based in the DC area. Is that right?
Well, she's currently in the
Is she based in
Chicagoland
DC,
area
Naima?
now. No, she's currently in the Chicagoland. She's based out of Chicago now.
Okay.
And so she'll be running in the Cook County election,
Okay.
which covers, parts of Illinois. And she's been a family law attorney for over 30 years. And of course, has been a host here on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show.
Wow.
And she has really given us a lot of insight on how we keep making wrong decisions when we get ready to get involved with someone because we're not seeing
Mm,
the signs that this person is not
mm,
emotionally fit to be in a relationship. And you know what women tend to do? We'll see that somebody has problems and we keep thinking we can fix them. It's like, well, he'll love me enough to change,
yes,
or well, I can
that's
fix it.
right. That's
You can't
right.
fix a grown person. How many of us have seen the signs that somebody had
Exactly. We have to
emotional?
fix ourselves. You can't fix anybody else.
Yes. Yes. So I mean, I have not been divorced, but
Yeah, but we gotta fix
in my
ourselves first.
20-year marriage, I did have to go through some learning because it does really,
Yeah,
one thing
yeah,
that marriage does, it forces you to face yourself, and the other person must also face themselves. And whatever has shaped you up until
yes.
that point, you're bringing all that together. And sometimes there's some deep unresolved pain. And most of us don't
That's
think to
right.
go and get
Well, most people.
counseling, marriage counseling, and men are taught not to express their feelings. And so, of course, that means you can never fix the problem because they won't
Yeah,
talk
that's
about it.
right.
So,
That's right.
I mean, even now,
But
most men I
most
know
men
are
have learned.
kind of taught not to talk. So, what do you
Yeah,
think can
they're
be done
taught
to
that from the
change
time
this?
they're young. They're taught that from the time they're children. Don't talk
Yes,
about your feelings. Don't show your feelings. Don't show
right.
any weakness. And I think it's particularly bad for people in the Black community, both men and women, that we're taught from very early age. Don't show any vulnerability. Don't show any weakness. Don't cry. All these things. And that dates back to slavery, I believe. These are things we've been carrying since slavery because in slavery time, if you were vulnerable, sometimes they would kill you. Right? I remember Henry Louis Gates did this show, this series some years ago where he traveled all around different parts of Africa. And when he was in South Africa, there's a church. He went to visit this church, and where the altar stands now used to be a whipping post. And what they would do is they'd take the slaves and they put them on the whipping post and they would whip them. And if someone fell down or cried out, they would kill them because the
That's pretty
person was
cool.
strong enough to do the work that they want and to endure the conditions. So these are very, very deep seated issues, which we've been carrying, from one generation to the next for hundreds of years. And that we have a lot of healing to do. I'm always saying this. I'm always blogging about this. We have a lot of healing to do as people of African heritage, as descendants of the enslaved. We have a lot of healing to do. But I just want to bear in mind as well, certainly when I was a child, it's a long time ago now, but Valentine's Day was not just about romance and it was not just about couples. It was about love. It was about
Yeah.
love for parents, love for children. It was about love. And I remember my dad used to give us things like he'd give us candy hearts on a stick, a red lollipop in the shape of a heart
Yes.
on a stick. And I remember one time some years ago, because sometimes we have fireworks on Valentine's Day in London. And I had two cats, not the same two I have now, but the fireworks were going, and I took them down to the end of the corridor so they could see the fireworks. I don't know that cats particularly want to enjoy fireworks, but I wanted to share them. And a friend of mine said to me afterwards, one day I was talking to her, and she said, "Did you celebrate Valentine's Day with the cats?" And I said, "Yeah, I took them to see the fireworks, took them down the corridor." So it's about love.
It's about
It's about
love.
love. You know,
And so many people have never experienced real love. And I
it
believe
doesn't
we've
matter if
got
you're
our,
human.
I believe we've
Yeah,
got
it's
one of
about the
our
heart.
guests on now. Um, and Ebony Empress, I discovered some years ago in doing a show
Okay.
out of London, and she speaks about relationships. And as a woman, of course, we're always trying to figure out how men think and why are we seeming to be on two different planets sometimes. So I want to open the mic for our
Mm.
uh, guest this morning, joining us live from London, Ebony Empress. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Female Solution Success Strategies with Zhana.
Yes, welcome. Welcome. Welcome to my show, Ebony Empress.
Now, are you able to
Are you
hear
with us?
us? Okay, I hear a sound. Your mic's unmuted. All right, go ahead. Are you with us?
Hi.
Are you with us? Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to mute your mic. And when you get ready to speak, just press 1. She might be in a place where she can't talk right now. One of the things that
Right. Okay, that's all right.
I, oh, there we go. Okay, she's pressed 1. All right, you're ready to roll. Okay, yes. Good
Hello.
evening.
Hi, ladies.
Hi,
Hello.
welcome. Welcome to the show.
Hear me?
Yes, we can, loud and clear. Yes.
Oh, that's good. Okay. So I had to find some headphones because that's probably why I didn't hear you when you were first calling me. But I got the headphones
That's
now.
okay. That's okay. That's fine.
Good.
All right, great.
Welcome. So the theme of today is relationships. So
Hi.
you talk about relationships on your show, is that right?
Yes, I haven't done a show for probably about a year, but
Okay.
I did many shows, probably about 400-500 shows
Oh,
from about
really?
2000 and and 12 onwards to around 2017. But I stopped doing shows all the time like I used to on Blog Talk because in 2020 my dad passed away, and
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
years before actually looking after him. Yeah,
Right.
he had a stroke, and
Oh,
it wasn't a long illness, but it was long enough to kind of,
Yeah.
Quite a struggle to keep him going and stuff, but we thank God for his life. There's nothing you can do. You just have to go with it when it comes, So yeah, it was one of those. So I took time out, and since then I've been doing lots of different projects, but relationships always come up.
Okay.
Yes.
So happy to talk on relationships anytime they do come up. Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent.
Well, I have a question, because here, for some reason, men are going through a trend where they're afraid of marriage because the divorce process is so painful and so humiliating. And often they've seen their fathers get thrown out the house. They've seen their fathers lose everything. So a lot of men are kind of being conditioned into this new culture of non-commitment, because they fear what happens when you try to get out of the relationship, the punitive nature of divorce toward men. What have you observed that happens there in the UK? Is it that same issue of, divorce being, I guess, traumatizing a lot of times for men? What have you observed?
And you think this is a new thing, Naima? This avoidance of commitment. You think this is a new thing, do you?
It might not be. I mean, I don't know everything. So I don't know. What Ebony, what is your thoughts on that? What have your observations been on that?
Okay. So my observations are that in the UK, we have the same thing going. The interesting thing is, I think like your guest is saying, it isn't new. It isn't new. It's not new here. It's probably not new where you are. I think what's different now is that we have a group of men that are building a philosophy of let's not commit, but let's get what we can without committing.
I got the same question for you. I just had for Naima Wende.
Sorry, Naima. Sorry. So Naima, right? Okay. So Naima, like the problem I think is here is that people are kind of there is like almost a community being built of men who are now saying, I will not marry, I will not commit. But what I want is still a woman who will cook for me, who will have sex with me. I want all of what goes into a relationship without commitment.
The perks.
I do hear the Kevin Samuels or whatever his name is, who's building this philosophy online, and I have listened to a lot of the videos that people have put up, and I find it interesting. I find it interesting for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I don't know anywhere or anything. I hear about divorce and how painful it is. It is not just painful for people who are poor. It is painful for people at every level of society. That's not new. It's not just something that people of color suffer. It's people of all colors who go through it. We have a world where, marriage is not respected as much as it was. Maybe people don't have to be with people for the same reasons they used to be in the past. So we have to find new ways or see new ways or see marriage in a new way if it is going to exist, what it will mean for the 21st century and beyond. I think for some people, I feel like now is an excuse to almost the levels of divorce are so high. We've got to do different. So men are telling men, encouraging particularly young men, to go out there and get what you can from a woman as much as you can, but don't put a ring on it. Don't put any commitment on it. I'm not saying that you've got to do the whole ring thing. I don't even think that people have to, be committed in the old ways. But I've never known anybody go into a business, hope to profit from that business without investing something. Okay.
But I got the same. Sorry to interrupt you, Empress. But I've got the same question for you I just had for Naima. Do
What
you
business
think this?
earth could you go? Where could you go and not invest in something to get
Yeah,
something?
yeah, I agree. I
Something in
completely agree.
getting out.
But do you think that's a
Right?
new thing? Because I don't see that as a new thing at all.
So you think it's always
Oh,
been that
dude,
way?
it is
I think it's been there for a long time, not always, but from what I remember people telling me 20, 30 years ago that when men would come from the Caribbean back in the 50s, there was a lot of men, there was not that many women that used to come. The men would come ahead, and sometimes they would get their partners to join them. Sometimes they might find a new partner, but they didn't want to marry. And some of them would just go from one woman to another woman to another woman. They would have a child with one, a child with the next one, a child with the next. I do know, a couple of fellas that are like that, a couple of brothers, but they did it because they could. And when they get old, this is what a friend of mine was saying to me. When they get old, they don't have a family, they don't have a wife, their children don't want to know them. They end up in a care home for the elderly.
Yes.
They end up very, very lonely because they didn't make that investment. They just went out there and got what they could, had their fun. They may have paid child support, but they didn't invest emotionally in their children. And then when they get too old to, look after themselves, they need someone to look after them. There's nobody there. So I don't think it's a new phenomenon. It
right.
might be it might be more widespread now.
But I am seeing more, as you said, older men in nursing homes. No one comes to
Mm.
see them. They may have children somewhere. The children feel no allegiance to them
Connection. That's
because they
right.
weren't there
That's
for
right.
them. I mean, this is almost at epidemic proportions where you see a
Yeah.
lot of old, lonely men dying in nursing homes or sick and homeless even.
Yeah.
And I always think, where's your family? Because
That's
they
right.
had a woman somewhere at some point,
Right.
but when they got too old to be the playboy, they couldn't attract that woman anymore, and that was it. So it's a sad thing. But now we've got a couple of people on Facebook that have some comments. Let me share. We
Oh, excellent.
have Jody says, Grand Rising from Kennesaw, Georgia. Thank you for joining us, Jody. And Zelda Robinson says, good afternoon, Queen, beautiful Queen sisters. Very appropriate subject for the times. Yes, love is always appropriate. And Jody says, I get that fear of marriage because of the divorce process. I went through 2 divorces with friends, but never married until now. It is brutal. Yes. So,
Mm. And the thing, thank you for those comments.
yeah.
Thank you, sisters, for those comments.
Yeah, and Debbie Green says good afternoon. So we're getting some comments, and Jody says I agree with you, Zhana. I don't think this behavior is new. And
No,
Zelda
no.
says old players get lonely too. Yes.
That's it. That's it. But the thing is that this business about divorce being brutal, of course, it is for many people very brutal, and it's always going to be painful. But I don't think that's an excuse not to make a commitment. I think it's being used as an
Ah.
excuse. But before that, there were other excuses.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
terms of what marriage is supposed to do in joining families and really improving one's economic status, because when it's just like a business merger, you're merging the assets of families. Is that thought missing now? Maybe are people still like when as they say, shack up? You're with somebody, like you say, they're doing the cooking, the cleaning. There's sexual intimacy and all that. You may even have children together, but there's no permanent commitment. So if you break up, person just leaves. And usually, I don't know if you have court TV there in the UK the way they have so much here, but there's always a conflict over what's mine and what's yours
Hmm.
because there was no legal document defining your relationship. And then
Hmm.
once you split, you know, who owns the car, who owns the couch, all those kind of
And
conflicts.
who gets the dog? That's a big
Who
one.
gets the
Who gets the
dog?
dog?
Yes. So, are we seeing a lot of that kind of thing where economically it's a disaster because there was not a clear cut legal relationship when they start merging their money? I mean, what do you all have observed with that?
Well, can I give an example?
Yeah.
Just this week, my friend who was about 55 passed away. He had been living with a girlfriend for 30 years.
Wow.
30 years. They have a property together. They have no children. The first time his mother laid eyes on this girl was when she came to pick the body up.
Oh my goodness, really?
Because he died in his sleep in her bed. So in their home, and his mother had a couple of words, not much to say to her, and couldn't say much because she doesn't know who she is.
That's shocking.
Has no idea who this woman is. That's a true story. That's not a lie.
I believe you.
Interestingly, I'm talking to one of my male friends this morning who's a little bit of a player himself. And I say, I tell him the story. I said, I've just come across this situation. I'm giving for a friend that's lost, and only to find out he was married. He was living with someone for 30 years that nobody, not even our circle of friends, been around him for probably 10, 15 years, ever saw or knew.
Really?
And she's now sitting trying to write some lovely words about their relationship. I don't know if she'll even get a chance to say those words. But I can't tell her because, how would I tell you that, you were not owned? There was no one who actually expressed a commitment to you. So it's like you don't exist. So that life that you lived with someone that you believed was a committed one, there is no evidence for it, because the family don't know who you are. And so, she was like, well, yeah, I think I'm looking forward to going and speaking, and I didn't have the heart to say what may come. I just kept quiet.
But let me ask you a question, Empress. Let me ask you a question, right?
Things that we are not just in relationship with ourselves, but a family. That person became a family. Interestingly, she doesn't have a family, so probably that's why he found it even easier to be that way. She said, I think in the last few months he was coming round. He was dying, so he probably, because he'd been ill just before he died, he probably realized he was dying and he started to be nicer, but he didn't introduce you even at that point.
Oh, that says a lot.
People know
It does. It says a lot. But Empress, let me ask you a question, right? Why would you be in a relationship with someone for 30 years and never meet their family? Why would someone choose to do that?
Yeah, was she hoping a long time that he was...
They met in university. She's from another country. They're a different culture. She thought that eventually he would come round to it. But I guess that's 30 years. So every Christmas, every holiday, he would have gone off to his family and she would have been left. And she was still hoping that at some point he would come round. And at some point he would make a commitment.
So why did you put up with that? I mean, it's funny because I was going to ask you, was it because they were from different cultures? Is that why he didn't want to introduce her to his family?
Well, they were from different cultures, but I don't even see that as an excuse because his mother, he had a sister, he has a sister who was married to someone from a similar culture. And for many years, and the mom would have known of that one. She has children as well. So it's totally a cultural thing. I don't know. And I guess, he's not here now, so we don't know. We can't ask him. But she was like, I thought one day he would say, well, I'm going to introduce you. But, it was interesting when the family members turned up for the body that, no one had much to say. And I was like, why would they?
Wow.
I don't know who you are.
It's a shame. That's such a shame. But why do you think that she would put up like? I'm just curious because to me it's like if
30 years.
a
We
year
got
goes
we got
by,
to take a.
if 1 year goes by and you haven't met his family yet, there's something wrong.
We got to take a break, but I want to
Okay.
throw a question out there. If you have chosen to cohabitate with someone and you feel like you're in a committed relationship, but they don't want to have any legal papers, how many years do you stay in that situation? Now, I'm throwing that question out there. Feel free to write in your comments on our Facebook page or call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 when you're ready to speak, and we'll open your mic and get your thoughts. Our guest today is Ebony Empress, live from London. And of course, our host today is Zhana, and this is Success Strategies with Zhana. And we're looking forward to your input as we talk about relationships. When we come back, we're also going to be joined by attorney Wende Williams, who's been 30 years as a family law attorney, and she's got some words of wisdom to share with us. How do you see up front when a person is not fit to be in a long-term committed relationship? So we'll be right back after this quick break. We want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
Are you constantly arguing with your spouse? Are your children misbehaving and acting out? Is someone in your family abusing drugs? Have you been the victim of domestic violence? Are you grieving over the loss of a loved one? Let us help you restore serenity to your life. At Serenity Family Social Services, we understand that good mental health is a result of emotional well-being. Our goal is to assist you and your family in removing emotional distress and restoring harmony and balance to your lives. We offer individual, couples, and family counseling. I'm Howard Williams, CEO of Serenity Family Social Services. Call us today at 312-315-4820. That's 312-315-4820.
Do you want to live in a world without war? Join our global peace movement. Heavenly Culture World Peace Restoration of Light transcends culture, religion, ideology, and other boundaries to achieve peaceful harmony in the global society. HWPL is committed to bringing world peace and cessation of war through peaceful dialogue between religious groups. I am Director Shin-Suk Kim of the HWPL Chicago branch of North America. Join us for our next gathering. Call 773-580-1501 and be a part of the movement for world peace. Email us at chicagohwpl@gmail.com.
Hi, this is John Alexander.
And I'm Naima Latif. Meet people like you who are making a positive difference in the world. Watch us every day on The Media Connection at www.youtube.com/TheMediaConnectionTV.
YouTube it. We'll see you soon.
There are people who choose to make a positive difference in the world. Our job is to bring you their stories to motivate you to do the same. Join us each week, host John Alexander and Naima Latif, as we bring you the educators, entertainers, elected officials, religious leaders, and community activists whose works are transforming this world. Find out how you can make a difference too. Be inspired. Watch The Media Connection. Mondays at 5 p.m. and Tuesdays at 12 noon on cable TV, Channel 19 in Chicago. And other cities, check your local cable listings.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. Today, on this first Saturday in February, we have Success Strategies with Zhana joining us live from London. And today, let's talk about relationships. So we have a guest today, a London talk show host, Ebony Empress, who has given us years and years of insight on relationships. And now joining us is attorney Wende Williams. And of course, she's been a wonderful host here on The Female Solution and 30 years as a family law attorney, and she's seen it all. Thank you for joining us today, and welcome to Success Strategies
Welcome,
with Zhana.
Wendy. I'm really delighted. I got two.
Yes. It's nice to be back. I kind of miss those every Thursday mornings.
Yes, well, we miss you. Definitely miss your advice.
Yeah. It's some hard-fought, learned advice. As my mother used to say, bought sense is better than borrowed. And let me tell you, I have bought a lot, and I've seen a lot of people buy a lot.
Well, Wende, I have a question for you. One of our listeners would like you, if you can, answer this question. They're a couple. They've been together for several years. They want to get legally married. They've had a ceremony, but they want to get legally married. But the question is, would the ex-spouse have access to their joint income once they get that legal document signed with the state? How does that work?
No. The ex has no access to the to the spouse's money. As a matter of fact, the IRS will also give I think they call it, I think there's a special name that the IRS has for that. I think it's called the injured spouse, where there is an outside child support obligation, and the present injured spouse can make sure that she has tax preferential treatment when it comes to getting a tax refund back. Let's just say the new spouse is Oprah Winfrey, and the ex-spouse is trying to get access to Oprah Winfrey's money. She sees the husband is living good. He's riding around in Maybach. He's in private jets. He's having a good time. And the ex-spouse goes into court and says, I need to get some of Oprah's refund from her tax return so that I can get my child support payment for the 4 children he left behind for Oprah. The answer is a resounding no, you will not. Even though he's living like a prince, he will not get access. As a matter of fact, the real story with Oprah is she just went ahead and paid everything for, my understanding is, I was not her lawyer, but my understanding is she did a lot of scholarships and things like that for Stedman and his family. I have no proof of that, but that was the popular rumor that she just dived in and helped out. Some new spouses won't do that. They won't help you financially or emotionally because they're still very bitter.
So you're not obligated if
presently going on, but I'll leave it at that.
So I got a question then. I got a quick follow-up question to that, because a lot of times, you might marry somebody and they do have child support issues, or back child support due, or whatever, wage garnishments because of child support and all of that. So then if you marry them and your income is combined, do you set up your bank account so that that you have separate bank accounts? Or what if you have a joint bank account? Could the state in any way go back and assess what their payment should be based on their new financial their new finances because of your marriage? Or no, it's still just like whatever it was before you got married, that's it.
He has to bring in check stubs. If her name is on that bank account, the government won't go in there.
Oh, okay. So the ex has no access to the new spouse's income, no matter how large it is. That's hers. The marriage doesn't make her liable for his debts. Okay. Well, see.
So is that true everywhere?
No, but wait, let me finish. Wait.
Okay.
The smart move is when you get married, keep a separate bank account.
Right.
It's real easy. In a separate bank. Wherever he is getting his income, however he's getting it, just have it put into. If everything is at Chase for the marriage, put his check into Bank of America. That can
just have a whole different bank for his stuff. That way,
you know what I'm saying. I mean, that's not even. Hold on, let me finish. That's okay. That's permissible. She has no right to Oprah's money. Period. End of story. It's just that simple. And then the rest of the story is she needs to keep her maiden name. That'll be a big help. Unless she just absolutely has to have that married name, she can keep her maiden name, and he can put all of his financials at a totally different bank. So the subpoenas will never go to the bank where she is.
Right.
Right.
Sometimes it just cuts down on all. Lawyers are charging anywhere from $350 to $500 an hour. Why walk into a trap? My show is always about avoiding the system, period. And that's what I would suggest to a couple that's getting married. Must you have his name? If not, don't take it.
Well,
and you can still file jointly, but when you file jointly, you have to file an injured spouse claim with regard to the tax returns.
Well, now Ebony Empress Ebony Empress just told us a story about a couple where the woman lived with a man 30 years, apparently never was introduced to his family. Then when he died and she shows up, they're like, well, who are you? So sometimes that last name is a significant thing because when you got the I guess obituary that says, who was the spouse or what the relationship was. And if all you was a living girlfriend, you might not even get a mention in the obituary, less known, unless you have some papers that have to do with his insurance benefits. So if there is a long-term relationship, can a person include you on an insurance policy if you're not a spouse? But if you're not a spouse and they don't say anything, then how does that work with death benefits? Or is that just something, you have to put a name on there in order to designate who gets the money when you die? Because that's a large part of life insurance, who's the legal spouse.
Here's the short answer. When you're living with someone, get a policy where you are the beneficiary. It's a contract. The wife, the ex-wife, or the wife cannot come in on a contract, period. It's not marital property. So what you want to do is, if you decide that you want to live with Michael Jordan, and he's still married to Juanita. In fact, there's a famous case. Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy lived together forever. And when he died, she got an ambulance and had the ambulance go to the house. I think the ambulance went to the hospital. And she told the wife, he's at the hospital, he died. But Katharine Hepburn was rich before she became an actress. And had no need to be Mrs. Spencer. And backstory I'm hearing is that Spencer's wife had a foundation where she had to keep the name and the marriage for the foundation for purposes of getting donations because they had a child that suffered from some particular type of malady. And that malady was a big deal for parents who were dealing with that. So Katharine Hepburn was like, I don't need to impose on that. Spencer lives here. We're together. It's a well-known secret that we're together. It's a well-known secret he was not with his wife. And consequently, the wife was able to continue with her foundation under the pretense that she was still, in fact, emotionally and otherwise his wife, but actually it was just in name only. The children of the lesser divorced gods can do the same thing. You can get an insurance policy. You can keep your name. You can live with him. Or don't live with a man that you want to be married to. But in some instances, you open a huge can of worms. Captain Hepburn would have opened a huge can of worms and kind of stalled the foundation, which had a greater charitable good, and Catherine was willing to go along with that.
See, this is interesting.
And when he died, I think they took him right to the hospital. They called the wife and said he's there, and Catherine vanished into the night.
Right.
Have a problem.
Right. You see, this is interesting to me because
if you start throwing your emotions in this, you won't get good results. You know, you'll. I talked to someone the other day who has spent like $70,000 in legal fees. Over what?
Goodness.
You know, what are you spending that kind of money on? I mean, I'm cannibalizing, as I've always said on the Thursday show. I cannibalize my business because I see two things: lawyers working very hard and can't get paid. So why don't we just give you some advice up front?
Right.
Well, now I
find interesting about this is Ebony Empress was talking about court TV, and I watched Judge Judy from time to time, and I remember her saying, if you're living with someone and you don't have a contract and you're not married, that's not smart. And what you're saying is one way to get around that would be to have an insurance policy where you're the beneficiary. So yeah, I just find that very useful advice. Thank you for that.
Yeah, if you're, like I said, if you're the children of the lesser court system gods, then you have to circumvent the issues that you run into. The obituary, that's kind of a
that's an emotional thing, not a legal
emotional
thing.
Than legal and financial.
Yeah.
If he still has a wife, why would you want to be on the obituary with his wife?
Well, I got a question on that, and Zelda, she made a comment here on Facebook. She said, "Marriage is not always the answer. Remember, it's only a contract. Companionship is what we really seek." Now, I've seen situations where someone may have been married and maybe the marriage was estranged or whatever, and so maybe this person had another companion that they lived with. And maybe they might even had several companions that they've lived on and off with, or whatever the case may be. So emotionally, they may have had several partners that were the companions like a wife, but the actual legal wife may not have been the person that they lived with. So when they passed away, you've got all these grieving widow types, but only one that was actually the widow. And sometimes it can create a big mess. I remember when James Brown passed away, and it took like, I don't know, years to even decide what to do with the body, because there were different women that were claiming rights to, being his partner. And I see that happen a lot of times when there is no insurance policy that designates who's beneficiaries. There's no one who is currently the wife, or maybe the wife is estranged, and there's somebody else who's been handling the affairs, but they're not the legal wife. So, I think I asked the question before the break. If you're with someone, what is the length of time you should stay in a live-in relationship before it has some kind of a legal document that protects your rights, I guess, or at least your sense of emotional rights? Because when you don't have rights, then all of that comes to the surface if that person passes away. So I'm throwing the question out there. Eddie, maybe you can answer. Wendy, maybe you can answer. Zhana, maybe you have an idea. How many?
Yeah, my thought is very much don't do it.
Relationship, with it being not officially a marriage.
Yeah, my thought about it is don't do it. But I'm very old-fashioned in that particular kind of way. I'm very old school. If you're going to move in with somebody, make sure you've got some kind of legal document. Because in Britain, if you live together and you're not married, you have no rights. If your spouse, not your spouse, but if your partner dies, you have no rights.
So, Ebony Empress, what have you seen?
The American, I would say that's I would say, as an attorney, that is the American viewpoint. What I think should be done at that point is, and I think I thought I was coming onto the show to talk a little bit about that as opposed to legal things. But why are you?
I'm very interested in that.
When somebody is legally married to somebody else, and you are unprotected financially, and if he dies, you are unprotected emotionally. And why would you think, now knowing that you have no legal rights unless you have a contract, and I'm going to tell you pretty much a couple of things that you can contract with. You can contract with him for real estate, and the deed should say joint ownership, right of survivorship. If you're going to have an insurance policy, then you should be named the beneficiary. And quite frankly, I think it should be paid out of your account. Now, he can put the deposit in there, but he can put it in, the money comes automatically out of your account where you're constantly putting money. Okay? Because if anybody else has access to the account, if he decides not to tell you he hasn't been paying on that, then you're out of luck. You have to protect yourself financially. Emotionally, I'm with Zhana. I wouldn't go into a situation like that unless there was something absolutely unique. And I'll give you some unique situations. The wife and children live in Germany. They're German citizens. This is actually a case that came up on Finding Your Roots with Louis Gates, with one of his actors or comedians that came on the show. I guess I should call them a guest. So he had a guest on the show who had him dig into the dark areas of the family tree. And when they dug into the dark areas of the family tree, they found a man who had abandoned his wife and children in Germany for the 17-year-old girl next door.
Ooh.
Got up, jumped the boat, left, and went to Wisconsin, started a whole new family, and never saw that German family again in life.
Wow.
Never. So you have to be able to take care of yourself. You have to kind of know where you are. You kind of have to vet. And as you guys know from my show on Thursday, I believe in vetting, and that'll cut down on all these legal fees and all of the turmoil, and even maybe some having to hire a criminal defense attorney to defend you in some criminal act that was the result of an emotional outburst.
But if you decide to kill him, then you're going to need a defense attorney, right?
Betrayal. Yes. So, why set yourself up for betrayal?
Yeah.
Betrayal.
All the cards. Why set yourself up to be not only old-fashioned? Old-fashioned is good, but are you practical? Are you real?
Yes. Yeah.
So let me ask this question.
You won't go in at all.
Well, let me ask this question. Matter of fact, Ebony Empress, and your shows that you've done on relationships, what's the worst case of emotional betrayal that you have heard, where someone trusted somebody with everything, maybe thought they were going to get married, and then it didn't happen, and they realized they had been betrayed? What's the worst case you've heard?
Well, I've heard lots of cases about betrayal. I think the one I told today, that's a big one. I mean, that's like betrayal. But I think an interesting story that I heard recently, which I absolutely love, is that I don't love it because it's a good thing, but I think it's an interesting one to learn from. A friend of mine who I worked with told me a story that his father-in-law, when he married his wife, he was going to marry his wife, called him and said, listen, if you ever cheat on my wife, on my daughter, if you ever cheat on my daughter, what and what he will do. don't ever cheat on my daughter. I expect you to look after her like a queen that she is. And for many, many years, he said, you know, I lived in the fear of like this man and his attitude to life. And, you know, he was a man of a certain discipline. He would come in from work. He would, you know, have his dinner. He had a stay-at-home wife. And he would leave the house at a certain time and go and play dominoes, right? A lot of Caribbean men do that, go and play dominoes. So every day he had this system of going to play dominoes. And one day, this is the father-in-law, one day he doesn't come back from dominoes, okay? And everybody's looking for him and wondering where is he and why didn't he show up home and whatever. Eventually, the wife gets a call from the girlfriend of like 20 years.
Oh my God.
She has died in her bed.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that's the first time, that anybody knew that he was playing in any shape or form, right? Like, so this is a guy, like, my family comes first. You know, my wife is sweet. You know, and he was on this whole trajectory of like, you know, honor and behavior. Like, and he was a hypocrite. You would believe, that no way would this man be cheating on his wife. You know, everybody could swear by him. He'd be in by 6 o'clock. He'd go to Domino's at 7 after he'd had his dinner and his shower. He would come back by 10 o'clock every night. And he managed to cheat. And so the interesting thing was, like, the wife had to go and get the body from the lover's house.
Oh no, you're kidding.
And the whole story came out. I even know a real story of a family, of a guy that it was in our church, and he was one of these upstanding guys, well-known family, and he was having an affair, produced a whole nother family alongside his family, until the other woman decided she'd had enough, and she'd let it come out. And then it all came out, divorce, whatever, the whole thing. But he managed to do that in secret. So that's kind of just made me realize that, look, there is nothing shocks me anymore.
I know. It's terrible. Because to me, marriage means something, okay? It means something.
Don't forget about the funerals. Don't forget about the funerals when the 3 sets of children show up at the funeral.
Right. That's what happened with Schwarzenegger. It came out Schwarzenegger had all these children with his housekeeper while he was married to a Kennedy. That happened. I just want to mention, Naima, we've got 2 more. I need to come in here because Naima, we've got 2 more people on the line.
Yeah, we got. Let's take a call before we take a break. We're going to open the mics. And of course, if you're listening online and want to join this conversation, give us a call, 515-605-9325. Press 1 when you're ready to speak. We are live with Zhana from London, and we've got our guest today, Ebony Empress, radio talk show host from London, and we have attorney Wende Williams. And of course, you know, she has been giving us the 411 on relationships. So let me open up the mics before our break in a couple of minutes and go to area code 773-487. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and your comments. Why do you think relationships today aren't working, and are men afraid to marry because of the complications? What are your thoughts?
This is cool. I'm a fly on the wall with you ladies. I mean, kind of scared to walk in the room but one thing I use is that the group behavior can hurt the individual. In other words, if you're putting men or women with the same thought or with the same kind of character, it damages an individual like myself looking for a special woman. I tend to speak for myself. You said how? Well, when the woman get in the room.
I'm sorry, this is the attorney speaking, asking how.
Yeah. I'm saying when a woman, I feel like you guys are in a hotel room talking about men and all the what men may do eventually, and just, instead of looking at the positive men, bringing the negative, bringing out the negative into the positive, and this is the thought of the internet, and this is a lot of people. This is where this world is going right now. We're being grouped up. A man, we're being grouped up. A woman cannot see my individuality, or a man cannot see a woman's individuality, because we're grouping everybody up like, oh, this is a woman, he's this, she's going to do this. This is a man, he's this. The only way that a man, and I ask the question, Naima, the only way that families are going to start, it's up to each individual to make that decision on their own and not worry about what anybody thinks. Because when you cook your food, are you calling your neighbor over to eat? No, you're cooking that food for you. So I think my call for women and men, if you decide to get married, if you decide to find someone, go out there and start talking, start getting attention, start making some conversation, and don't worry about your girlfriend. Don't worry about your mama. Don't worry about whoever's going to tell you whether he's good or right for you, and you stick to, and have conversations and build the best relationship that you can, and be with that person and discover things together, and make it a great relationship. And counseling,
I've got a
that's
question for
fine.
you.
All right. We'll hold that thought.
Yeah.
Kofi. We got to take a break, and then Zhana has a question.
I've got a question for you when we come back from the break.
Yeah, come back from the break. So hold on. We'll be right back. And for those of you all who are on our switchboard, if you got a question, comment, just press 1. That'll light your number up, and we'll open your mic and get your thoughts. And we'll be right back after this quick break. So stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back in a moment. The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Self-Cell Care with Jody Susan. Wednesdays, Repairing Broken Families with Naima Latif and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And Fridays, Health and Wellbeing with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Success Strategies with Zhana. Second Saturday, Wende Williams Esquire on relationships. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. And fourth Saturday, Wisdom with Mama D. Join us Sundays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to the host and be a part of the solution.
Have you ever dreamed of going to exotic places, meeting fascinating people, enjoying uplifting music, and spending nights in a luxurious hotel? Do you look forward to a relaxing vacation where you can walk along the beach or sit in a quiet park and enjoy the sunset or sunrise? Whether you're flying around the world or driving across the country, we will share travel tips that will help you stay safe while you enjoy the journey. Join me every third Saturday of the month, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and move around with Deborah here on the Female Solution Show. Call in and comment 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. Everything you need, what your body needs, is found in nature. So Susan Essentials doesn't do it any other way. Susan Essentials provides your employees and individuals access to over 20,000 nutritional products, and they are shipped direct to your door. Because Susan Essentials is certified in plant-based healing, we're permitted to offer you the best nutritional supplements on the planet. They're non-GMO and sustainably produced, and we take the guesswork out for you. Let Tucson Essentials help you take control of your health today.
We are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. And today is Success Strategies with Zhana, focus on relationships. And we've got
a very lively discussion we're having, which is great.
Different great relationship experts we got today. Yeah. So, Zhana, you had a question for our caller, Kufi.
I do. I've actually got two questions. The first one is for the caller, and that is and because I completely agree with what you're saying, we need to focus on the positive, right? Lots of people have relationship problems. All relationships are problematic to a certain extent, but we need to focus on the positive. I completely agree with what he said. Here's my question. How can we know? Are there signs that we can look for to tell if someone's going to be the right partner for us or not? If this person is trustworthy or not? Can we rely on this person? Can we trust this person or not? What are some of the signs we should look for? And the other question, because if you remember, when we started just over an hour ago, I was saying that certainly in my childhood, Valentine's Day was about love. It wasn't just about romantic relationships. It wasn't just about couples. It was about love. So can you give us some advice, Mike?
That's from a male perspective.
On how can we have, like, for example, good relationships with our children, good relationships with our parents? What kinds of things do we need to do to maintain our relationships? Anyway, let's start with the first question.
What are your thoughts on that?
What are some of the signs we can look for?
The first thing is you ask, how do you know if that person is dependable? What are the signs that you can forecast before you kind of get close to this person? I mean, if they don't answer your phone calls, if you text them, they don't text back, they don't respond to you in a timely manner. The conversation is about frivolous things. It's not about what's your favorite color? It's not it's not connecting with you. You're talking about the world's ills and the world's problems. That's a sign that is this is not going to be a good relationship. You want to talk about family. Somebody who's talking about family, that's a good sign. And so then your next question, you're asking, how do you formulate the relationship between your children or each individual? I look at myself as a tree. Yeah. Because the Bible says, you know that by your fruit, the fruit of the Spirit. I live in the spiritual realm. So the word says, you would know me by my fruit. What is my fruit? My words, my actions, my deeds, the things I'm doing, those all. And if it bears good fruit, that means it's helping someone else. It's helping the world. So I look at myself as a tree. But the children are the branches of the tree.
Okay.
So
how does that play out in day-to-day life?
You can branch out my tree.
Well, now based on
how does that play out in day-to-day life?
Yeah, what Zhana just said about how does that affect? Now I'm gonna throw this question out there for anybody who thinks they have an answer. So in today's society, you're older, you're trying to date, maybe you're have left the father of your children, let's say, and you want to bring someone else into your life. If your children don't take to that person, or your children are angry even that you're bringing someone else into your life, do you pay attention to their feelings? Like, if I don't like this guy, I don't want him for you, you shouldn't be dating him, or whatever the case may be. does it, number one, depend on the age of the children, or number two, should you ignore their feelings altogether if this is who you want? I mean, how much does children approval of someone in your life matter?
Before you answer the question, I just want to say we've got 2 people on hold. If you would like to join the conversation, please press 1 to put your hand up.
Yes.
Press 1 and you will be able to join the conversation. Right. Sorry, Naima. Sorry to cut you. Right. Let's carry on.
So anybody want to...
I got a really quick answer, then I'll let you guys answer on that. If a woman wants to bring a new man into a family, and she's worried about the children, you know what she should do before she bring that man in is sit down with those children and says, "Mommy wants to date another man, and what do you guys feel about that?"
Yeah, that's an excellent answer. Thank you for that.
What's exciting is the children, their eyes are just opening with brightness and say, "Mommy found a man. She has someone that she's going to, you know." You have to sit down and talk with that child, strategize and say, "What do you guys think?"
Yeah, you need to talk to them and you need to listen to them, right?
Yes, bring that man in. So now you're on the same page with your children.
You need to listen to them, right? Not just talk to them. You need to listen to them. It doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but you have to listen, yeah? Would you say?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. And all right. So Ebony Empress, tell us, what are your thoughts on that? Should a woman decide that if her children doesn't like him, then he can't be in her life? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know. I can only speak to my own experience. Bringing someone into like big, a big decision. Yeah. I don't know if you guys can hear me okay.
Yeah, we can hear you fine, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's a big decision. I think it depends on the age of the kids as well. But my children, when I decided to have another relationship, were grown up. And I waited for them to grow up. Actually, I made that decision for them to grow up to a certain age. Reason being, I've got 3 girls, 1 boy. My thing was, especially when my girls were teenagers, ain't no man living in my house. Like, that was my personal decision. I did date, but it was outside, and the person could visit, but you were not staying when, we weren't living together. It wasn't happening. And I made that conscious decision because I think as a mother, it's my responsibility to keep my daughters safe.
Absolutely.
To know everything about everybody, and if you're a person of faith, you can pray. But I just knew too many stories of people who had got it wrong, and I was like, I am not taking the risk.
Right.
I want to have fun. I want to get to know somebody, but I think I should take the risk for me. But that's not a risk that involves my children.
Yeah.
I think when you got to the point where you're thinking, right, I'm going to marry this person, I'm sure you would have gone through counseling, you would have gone through a lot of things to work out, prayed, you'd have done a lot of things, the soul searching and discernment before you decided, right, this is the course I'm going to take. And I think at that point, it's fine. You're going to need to bring your children in on it. Are they the deciders? I think sometimes they can be, because often the people that are closest to you can see more than you can see.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when you're emotionally invested, your eyes are a little bit cloudy. I'm sorry, your emotions will cloud your decisions.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just can't see anything. I remember I was dating a guy, he wasn't even living with me, and my daughter met him. And she was like, "Mom, there's something spiritually not right." And she was right.
Really?
And it wasn't coming from a place of, I am jealous, I am this. It was spiritually, that don't feel right to me.
Really?
So, and I listened, because I think you should listen, because sometimes those people closest to you can see better than you can. And I think
sometimes.
It might not be your children. It could be your sisters. And it doesn't mean, and you got to know that those people are coming at you from a place of love. Not, it's a frivolous thing or a jealousy thing. I don't want you to be happy. because, misery loves company and all of that. It needs to be from a place of love. And if you understand it and that person can explain it and you can receive it, if it is said in the right way and with the right energy, and there's a lot of things to take into consideration, then, you decide how you want to act. But, and also look at your successes with relationships. Sometimes, the trail you leave behind you tells you something about how good you are at selecting people, right? And I think it's good to have a look back, with what spirit was I choosing in the past, right? Because if you were choosing with the spirit and it tells you how the relationship started and ended, tells you something about where you were mentally when you were going through that process. So it's always the learning. How can you learn to be the better you in making the better choices? So, and the most important people to protect are your children.
And I just want to, and thank you very much for that, Ebony Empress. And I just want to also clarify that when I say listen, I'm not saying you have to agree with them, right? You might listen to your friends, you might listen to your family members, and it's important to listen. It's not the same as agreeing, though.
Right.
Just want to be clear about that. You, in the end, you got to make your own decision, right?
Yeah, but I guess one thing she's saying, I guess one thing
I agree that in the end, it's your decision.
Yeah.
If you're someone that's indecisive, a little bit on the fence, you're not sure even what you want, okay, then be mindful of that also, because I'm always like, my own mantra is, my own way of looking at it is, if there's something unsettling for me in my spirit, if I'm asking too many questions almost of this whole situation, is there something wrong with the picture that I am trying to, to make? Am I trying to put a square peg into a round hole? Am I really trying to make this happen? And it's not a natural, organic kind of development, or is it? Do you know what I mean? What is going on?
Right.
You
have to try too
and
hard.
If I can't hear it from me, maybe I need to hear it from someone close to me.
Right.
So I definitely listen. I don't necessarily always agree and always do what they may want me to do or whatever. And great thing is my kids never say do or don't do. They say, Mom, you might want to consider. And
good. That's good. So you taught them well.
Yeah.
You taught them well, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Well, that does make you think, though. Yeah, go ahead, Wendy.
Hello?
Thank you. Yes, this is the attorney. I want to go back to the first question I asked Kofi, and then I want to answer it for him. If I had been asked that question. And let me preface everything with the fact that I have practiced law 30 years in family law. So I've had the distinction of looking at my caseload. And of course, it is the worst possible caseload that could have been, right?
So Wendy, can you just remind us, please, what was the question?
Yeah, Wendy, say the question again.
It indicated, Kofi said how he would like to proceed with a relationship. And we all heard that.
Right.
And my question was how?
Oh,
okay.
How does that look? Okay, very good. Now, when I asked that question, it was rhetorical, Kofi, so I'm not putting you on the line. And you called into my show before on Thursdays in the 2020. I remember talking with you. So I'm just going to give you guys the scientific response because I think you're all right in the approach that you want to take, and I'm going to suspect that you have some ability to operate that perspective. But I want to give you something that's a little bit more objective, and something you can kind of work with.
Good.
Years and years and years and years of being an attorney, I found 4 things to be very important that you have to hone in on and see whether or not this person is going to be fit. You remember that, Naeem?
Yeah, right.
Are you fit?
So you can be
and the fitness test, Kofi, is as follows. Number one, does this person have mental illness in their family, or have they been subject to mental illness? And can they spread out their arms and turn in a circle and touch any immediate family member, including parents, brothers and sisters, first cousins, aunts and uncles, grandparents, who have suffered from mental illness? The follow-up question, if it is yes, then the follow-up question is, how did the family handle that? Next question, was there substance abuse or addictive behavior, including gambling, food addiction, shopaholic, of course, drugs and alcohol? I'm going to throw cigarettes in there, so please pull your toes back if I'm coming your way. And you want to take a look at whether that addictive or substance abusive behavior was in the family. And as you turn around in the circle, can they touch an immediate family member or an extended family member who has those issues? Number three, is there domestic violence in the family? Again, can they reach out and touch a parent, a brother, a sister, an aunt and uncle, or a cousin or a grandparent who has that problem of domestic relations? And lastly, criminal activity. My all-time favorite is habitual. My all-time favorite is sexual abuse or sexual shaming, incest in the family. Again, can you spread your arms, turn in a circle, and touch a family member that has these issues? And let me tell you why that's important. Because when I am in court and we're trying to determine parenting time or parenting, primary parenting custodial care, these are the four things that the social worker or the psychiatrist or the guardian ad litem or the child rep is going to look at. Right. They're going to come in, they're going to do a home study, and they're going to look at all those relatives. And they want to know if one of those four relatives have those things in the background, but not, they want to know if the relatives have these four things in their background. They're not going to itemize it like that, but that's the way I have itemized it. And when I take all of the information that I have to process in order to advocate for my client, this is what I came to. Habitual criminal activity in and around the family unhandled, domestic violence in the family unhandled, substance abuse, addictive behavior, addictions in the family, and violence in the family. Now, if that's not managed, because it happens in all of our families.
Yeah, see, this is what I was going to say. I'm glad you said that.
What you end up doing is finding out how you're going to manage this. Of course, I'm a huge proponent of avoiding the situation, getting into therapy, getting into life coaching, and I'm going to say this in stages. Therapy first for the pain, life coaching for the redirection, and then just good advisors when you need advice. Okay?
Yeah, right.
So here's what it'll look like. My dating question, because I'm single again. I've been married twice. I'm single again. And those issues that I'm telling you about popped up in the relationship, and I was unaware of the impact that those four things would have on a long-term relationship.
Right.
Unfit financially and emotional to take the relationship forward.
Right.
Okay. And so you don't see where people are problem solvers. You don't see where they've had therapy. You don't see where there's been life coaching. And so when the court system is trying to decide whether the child is going to go with the mother or the father, these are some of the things that they're looking at. Right. Well, I said to myself one day, hey, why not get this out up front?
Okay.
So my dating question, which I have lent out there to everyone, is that my dating question is this. So what was it like growing up with your mother and your father?
Right.
When you pause and think about your own life, what is it like? What was it like? It's not an intrusive question.
No.
But it's going to get a lot. And what happens with those kinds of questions, what was it like growing up with mom and dad? I have found that about 85% of the time, you're going to get one of those four things, and sometimes you're going to get all four, and you're going to find out there was no management. Why is that important, Kofi? It's important that you ask that question of a young lady, and very softly. You know, sometimes I don't even have a follow-up question because they just have this outpouring of information. But what I'm now listening for is, how did you handle that going forward? Are you dragging all those four issues into the relationship with me? I don't want it. Check, please. I'm out of here. Because I don't see how you have managed that, and I don't want to become your therapist. I don't want to become your caretaker. I don't want to become your lawyer. I want to be your girlfriend, maybe be a fiance and a wife. You follow me, everyone? So you have to vet these individuals, and that way you don't have to worry about it. And you can get that done before sex, before you spend a dime. I'm usually doing that this coffee. If he makes it to the next round, if I make it to the next round, then it's ice cream. I don't do any dinner dates late at night because I don't want to be seduced. I don't want to seduce myself. I don't want to get tempted into seducing the person because I know on the back end, all this stuff is going to come out. Lastly, this is the last thing. No one meets my family for 6 months to a year.
Oh, wow.
Right, really?
Wow.
Okay.
You're going to be looking at me. We're going to be going to the movies. We're going to be going ice skating. You do not get to meet my family because over here on this side, we did handle it. And it was ugly, but we got it handled. So I need to know if your family is handling it. I will go to anything you invite me to. If a guy doesn't invite me to meet his family, I don't need to. I have enough skills as I don't want to say investigator, but I have enough skills as a interviewer, let's say, and a counselor, let's say, to get that information out of the person, and then I can determine whether we're going to be a fit. Sometimes it's just fun relationships. Sometimes it could lead to marriage. But I don't take any chances with it because I've seen legal costs involved. I've seen the physical harm that has been done. And so I have a real practical approach. And by the way, when I do ask these questions, I have on my bright red lipstick and wonderful cologne.
Well, before we take the last break, I want to throw this thought out there because, you know, a lot of people, they know they come from dysfunctional families. They know, you know, they got the alcoholism, they might have the drug abuse, they might have the criminal behavior, they might have somebody got mental illness, they might have all of that or some parts of it, but they may feel like, but, you know, my family's not me, you know, like what did Michael Corleone say in The Godfather, you know, when Kay asked him, you know, about his gangster family, he said, that's my family, that's not me, Kate. Well, we saw different. But of course, many people knowing that they have a dysfunctional family may want to shield someone that they are really considering for a serious relationship from meeting their family. My question is, and I know we got to take a break, but my question is, have you ever had an experience with someone where they didn't introduce you to their family because they said, well, my family got problems? Or have you ever had a situation where someone did introduce you to their family and their family was so highly dysfunctional that it made you consider stepping away? So I want to throw that question out there. I don't know, Zhana, have you ever had a situation where you feel like either you don't want somebody to meet your family because, you know, you don't want them to meet your family, or maybe somebody didn't introduce you to their family and you're like, well, why? And they said, well, my family got problems. Zhana, if you had that issue with?
Well, I mean, I never ever want anybody to meet my family because my family is that messed up. But unfortunately, most of them have died now. So there's very few people in my family to me. I've got 2 cats. They're my family now. Okay. But I mean, my older sister, I'm very fond of, and I would introduce her to anybody, no problem. My younger sister, maybe not. But I mean, the thing is, I thought what the judge said. I mean, sorry, what the attorney said. What Wendy said was real interesting and really useful because no, thank you. Because the first thing you said was about mental illness. I have 6 mental health diagnoses, and I have a history of mental health issues since I was a very young child, and other family members in my family also have mental health issues. But my parents grew up in the United States in the 1920s and 30s, so they experienced horrendous racism, and I think that has led to a lot of mental health issues, and I think that's true of a lot of Black families. But what you said was that it's about how it's handled, right? Because at some point in our lives, every single person experiences anxiety or depression or some other mental health challenges, right? We all do. So it's a question of how it's handled. So I really like the way you put that. Thank you very much for that.
Yes. Well, we're going to take a last break. Hold that thought. We're going to take one last break.
Because I did want to make a point.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we're going to take a break and then we come back and get your point. Yes. Ooh.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Good one. Okay, well, we will be right back after this last break. So stick and stay. Don't stray away. And if you're listening online and want to join this conversation, give us a call, 515-605-9325, and press 1. That'll raise your hand on our switchboard, and we'll open your mic and get your thoughts. And if you're on our switchboard now and got a thought, just hit that 1 on your phone dial, and that'll raise your hand on the switchboard, and we will get your thoughts as we talk about relationships. You're listening to and watching Success Strategies with Zhana, joining us live from London, England, and we'll be right back. So stay with us.
Oh man, God sent the money. This sunlight is really expensive, especially during this season. I'll probably have to work overtime to pay it.
Well, you better pay it on time. We don't want the sun to go out and we're sitting up here all day in the dark.
Wouldn't it be terrible if God charged us for sunlight? Well, thank God, the light and heat from the sun is free. So why are we paying such high bills for the energy we use in our homes? Because we don't know how to use solar energy, the free energy from the sun. You can convert your regular home to a solar energy home and save tremendously on your electric bill. Wouldn't you like to reduce or possibly even eliminate that cost altogether? Let one of our solar consultants show you how. Call today, 312-849-3456. And schedule a free consultation. That's 312-849-3456.
Hey, it's time to take charge of your health. I'm Viaka, your holistic life coach, and every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I'm here on the Female Solution and empower you to make choices that will assist your evolution to abundant health. I'm also blogging every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at Soul Purpose Healing, where I bring you a spiritual chiropractic adjustment to bring you back into alignment with our Creator's love, compassion, and wisdom. Join me every Friday morning at 8 a.m. and Sunday evening at 8 p.m. for a time of unity, enlightenment, and love vibration. Shalom.
Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed, into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning with Delta Speak for your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution. Monday
7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit zeldaspeaks.com and send us your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness/stress relief coach, Zelda Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moment tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on Higher Learning with Zelda Speaks. Make it a mindful day. And thanks for listening.
We have an opportunity to transform the whole global society in the next 50 years. 50 years from now, the earth will be populated by a new generation of adults, many of whom are yet unborn. Our mission is to nurture them in childhood with love, guidance, and protection, and to raise them in healthy, happy families. If we impart values of compassion, generosity, and respect for fellow human beings in the next generation of children, they will create a world where people can live together in peace. This is our goal. Be a part of the transformation. Get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. Go to www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com.
All right, we are back for our last 20 minutes of the show before we wrap up. And Zhana, I think we had someone wanted to make a comment about that last point.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, Ebony, was that you wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, that was me.
Yes.
I wanted to just say thank you, Wendy, because the stuff you spoke about, I'm not an attorney, but I've been practicing that for years. Okay. I really appreciate what you said. Something I've learned about dating, after 50 is that it's good to go out and practice. It's good to, there's a lot of women and a lot of men who just, I suddenly decide, get up one day and go, right, I want to find a partner and go out there and basically, struggle because of what they experience. So my thing, years ago, there was a woman on Blog Talk, actually, who brought out this philosophy around fantasy dating. And me and a friend of mine, we tried it out. And fantasy dating is like fantasy football. So fantasy football, you pick a few teams, you watch those teams, you observe how they do, you predict what goals they will get for the season, and then you win if your team wins and all the rest of it. So one of the things we did with the fantasy dating, we would go online and we would talk to guys, like you see who you get points for, how many people would get in touch, how many people would call you, and then there were some points, if you actually had a conversation and you got beyond a certain point. And always the elimination was about the conversation. But what I learned is that people can be very good at masking the truth. What you have to do is to get in very quickly. So recently I had this experience where I was on a Christian dating site, alleged Christian dating site, because a lot of people on there are not Christians. Okay, so that's an interesting one. But three guys actually just sent me their numbers. Like, I like your face. I like how you look. The usual. Can I send you my number? I thought, okay, so let me have some fun with this. So I called the first guy, and he didn't have a picture up, which I noted. And all right, a picture can be a bit of a red flag. Not having a picture can be a red flag. And I thought, okay, well, let me hear what he's got to say. So I called him. I said, hello, how are you? He said, I am so happy you called me. I've been waiting to speak to you. I said, okay. I am noting that your accent sounds like you may be from Africa. Are you from Nigeria? He said, yeah.
I said, hey, yes, that is good. I love to hear Nigerians, I love to hear Nigerians. I said, because, I've adopted your culture. I watch a lot of your movies, and I have really understand the culture well. He said, oh, my sister, that is lovely. Because Nigerian, I said, no, I'm from the Caribbean. I'm from the Caribbean, but I study the culture, right? Mm-hmm. I said, let me give you some facts, right? Something I know. Over 90% maybe of Nigerians, over 50, will either be widowed or divorced. Or married, or still married, right? Or still married. So he said, I said, so are you widowed? He said, no, I'm not widowed. So are you married? He said, oh, you got me. Am I married? Well, wow. I said, yes, so you're married. Yeah, I'm married. Yeah, she said it. I'm married.
So what you doing?
Okay. Where is the wife and why are you on a dating site? He was like, well, let me tell you the story. Everybody has a sub story. Oh, the story is we've been married for 15 years, but nothing's happening. Nothing is going on. There's nothing. But you're not separated, right? No, she still lives in my house. Hey, very quick to get to the point. I was like, no, I am not interested. Nothing
right, exactly.
Bye-bye.
That's right.
It's my time. I don't even have to shave my legs, okay? My house. You know what I mean? That's it. It's over. Number 2, he was from Ghana. I called him. I said, hi. He said, I'm working. So this is a Christian website, and particularly I'm Adventist, so we don't work on a Saturday, which is the Sabbath for me. So he was working on an Adventist website. I said, why are you working? Are you Adventist? He said, no, I'm any faith. Are you any faith? How are you any faith? What is the any faith?
Yeah, what is it?
Okay, you're not Adventist. Okay. You can quickly get through things. It's no mess. You're just going straight with a question that will unsettle the person, but will get the truth.
Right.
And that's what we want, is the truth. And I think sometimes it's not just one conversation. My experience is you have to go in with a few and be ready to ask them in different ways, to come back again with a question, ask it and then leave sight, pretend you've forgotten the conversation, bring it up a week later. You said this to me. I wonder what you meant. Well, what did that mean? Okay. And then you start to get to the real truth. So you are being a bit of an investigator. But
so you have to play detective.
But you've got to be a really good listener.
Yeah.
Everything that you hear.
Got to listen, right.
Yeah. And you have to play detective, it sounds like.
Get out.
Right.
Someone's actually faking it, because a lot of people do.
So how do you
Well, feel free to use the technique of asking them what's it like growing up with mom and dad.
Yeah.
And just be quiet and listen to them. They'll give you a stream of consciousness on it. In fact, Naima tried it a couple of times. Remember Naima?
Oh, yeah. And
remember that time?
Definitely discovered some things.
Much information.
Yeah.
And you can end it right there. The other thing that I don't do, ladies and Kofi, once you give me an answer, like, oh, I'm married, I'll say, I gotta go.
That's it. No conversation. Don't try to string it out. That's it.
Just like I don't have anything else to what?
No, absolutely.
And ladies, because I make a living and listening to sob stories, as soon as it becomes personal for me, and we're talking about dating and, again, I want to laugh. I want to go ice skating. I want to go, skiing. I want to travel out of town. And I got to make sure you're not a lunatic that will manifest on the first full moon. And we're sitting in Cancun, Mexico, and you're lighting up like a lunatic. I have to know what is in your family background, because I trust me on this, ladies. This is 30 years of experience. If they have unresolved family matters that you cannot see how, Kofi, how did you insanity. Because do all that you can, ladies and gentlemen. Never go into a relationship to be a rescuer or caretaker. That is for a professional.
That's a big one.
Right.
That's a big one right there.
Yeah, trying to fix somebody. Yeah. So now, how do you?
I believe that. You did say unresolved. Is the trigger word for me, unresolved. And I noticed in my dating, a lot of women, they connect with me because they wanted their situations resolved. I was the answer for them. I was a counselor, and I realized that by the things, well, tell me about this. They wanted some resolutions.
But did you want to be somebody's counselor though? I mean, if somebody's got emotional issues, do you really want to be that person that that
fixes them?
Yeah, right. Was that really the kind of relationship you want to have?
If we be real, most people have some emotional history. That's just a fact. I mean, and when the key is in a relationship, when you get in a relationship, that is the resolution. That is the love that can dissolve a lot of problems when you're with that person. You just have to see how deep in the mud they are in. But the relationship is it's the golden calf. It's what you're looking for. This is my solution. You make me feel so good. I feel so much better being with you.
But those good things have to come from within, don't they? Don't those positive feelings have to come from within?
That's low self-esteem.
Right. Yeah.
Any woman that meets a total stranger that makes her feel good is probably about as useful as Prozac in a prescription bottle. if you are not in that relationship, you are in that relationship for a cooperative.
Yes.
You are in that relationship.
Not to be codependent.
And it's the right deal when you're not around.
Right.
In that relationship to see if that person would not cheat on you when you're not around. You want to get into a relationship where someone can join you in your happiness. Have you ever been out with someone and they're having an awful time and they're with you and you want to take them back home and get rid of them?
Yeah.
That's because that person has low self-esteem.
You can't fix
and
it.
has not entered into a therapeutic environment to deal with their own wounded child inner issues. And men have a tendency, based on socialization,
yes,
that you guys have a tendency to think you're supposed to be rescuing women.
Yeah, that's right.
That never works. That never works.
No, never works.
To save somebody.
The reason why it never works. The reason why it never works is because once that goal of being rescued is fulfilled, Kofi, they will dump you.
Ooh, and then you'll be angry. Yes.
And they'll be looking for somebody else to rescue them next.
We got another caller that wants
somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a question.
Area code 773-984. Your mic is open. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and your comments.
Yeah, this is Rashida. Rashida Ali.
Yes, and where you calling from, Rashida?
What you say?
And where you calling from, Rashida? Are you in the Chicagoland area or Indiana? Where you at?
I'm in Chicago.
Okay.
I just want to say that I want to comment on dysfunctional families and functional families. All families all races and ethnicities have dysfunctionality. A dysfunctional family, in my opinion, is characterized by conflict, misbehavior, or abuse. That's dysfunctional. And relationships between family members are tense. Relationships between family members are tense and can be filled with, neglect, yelling, and screaming. And then you might feel forced to have to accept that negative treatment. But all all races have responsibility, and there's no open space in our opinion to express thoughts and feelings. That is create a structure in a family that could be characterized as dysfunctional. So we can't just say that because we are black and most black people are dysfunctional. But the thing is, we have to learn to have relationships between our family members, I think. That's how I grew up. But it doesn't mean that is dysfunctional.
I know, I agree with what you're saying. But
all races, in my opinion, have dysfunctionality.
well, it's true. It's true. But we have particular issues which have to do with our history.
Yeah. Well, I think there's two things. Because like you say, Zhana, I mean, everybody, and I agree, Rashida, that every family has certain levels of dysfunction. Some are worse than others, though. Like the things that Wendy was talking about. The extreme where you got mental illness, you got abuse, you got somebody that's got a substance abuse problem, somebody that's in and out of jail. I mean, those things create traumas that it's difficult to overcome even as an adult. So, I mean, every family's got their little things that they deal with, and you go and when you come into a family, either you're going to adjust to it because it's maybe familiar to you, it's kind of like your family, so you understand, or it's something that's just too overwhelming and you can't fix it because, you didn't come in to be a counselor or a fixer or something. But I think one thing is that, Wendy, you said nobody, you don't go to somebody, you don't bring anybody home until 6 months or whatever.
A year, 6 months to a year, she said.
Yeah, 6 months to a year. And I think it is important if you think somebody is, the one, or at least somebody you want to take another step with, after you've asked that dating question, I think it is important for you to at least meet somebody in their family. Like what I used to do, my test, I would always take, if I thought a guy was maybe, somebody that might be significant in my life, I would take him to dinner at my sister's house. That was kind of the intro, let's see, okay, let me get another point of view of this person.
Yeah.
And so, and depending on how that dinner went, I would know if this is someone who could fit into my family, or if my family might see some red flags that I wasn't seeing.
Exactly.
So I think that if they're serious about you, you should meet someone in their family, and then you don't end up like that guy, the 30-year live-in girlfriend and his family didn't even know she existed. I mean, that should tell you something. If someone never brings you to their family, that should tell you something, I think.
Yeah, that's a little different, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
That's a little different.
Yeah.
I'm talking
about. Thanks, Rashida. We thank you for your comments, Rashida.
Yes. Thank you very much for that.
Yes. So
thank you.
So
one of the greatest solutions I've ever relationships is taking your mate to church and maybe having prayer with the preacher. That's kind of I grew up in that era. Take your mate to church, and letting God kind of open up all those little things you're talking about, and God will reveal everything up in that church with that person. You know what I mean? That spirit's gonna be like, you're gonna look at them like, oh, that spirit's working on them. Then you're gonna see your issues right there. So that's my comment.
So let me throw this question out there real quick. What if the person that you're dating, if you don't see eye to eye in terms of spirituality, either they're not into religion or they're into a different religion, is that a red flag to say, well, no, this can't work? Or do you say, well, let me see if I can make it work? What are your thoughts?
Well, I would say try and make it work personally. But you know what? That's a whole other show.
Yeah.
That is a whole other show to talk about. And what I'd like to know, which we didn't really get into.
Religion and faith.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's not just a story of religion and faith. I think it's a story about alignment. Because someone can be in your faith and not be aligned to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are compatibility that don't exist. but we're in the same church. We are, praising the same God, because we're all different. Basically, we come from different families, different social backgrounds. We have been through different processes and different pains, as we are talking about right now. So how we come out the end of all that will make a difference as to how we can shape up in relationships. So I think each person has to be taken on their own merit, and you cannot put it into boxes. Yes, I could wait 6 months to bring someone home, and I still bring home a person that will wreck my life. I can still go through every checklist to try and make sure that person fits. From a faith perspective, I'm like, the only person who knows anyone is God. Because you cannot know people.
Right.
You can be really good at interviewing, cross-questioning.
No, I'm really
done it. It can take years sometimes. I'm going to tell you, sometimes it can take, there are basic things that will come out which will tell you a no, but there can be some deep-seated things that people hold on to for years.
Hide it well.
And not for married to you, because will tell you, I'm saying for you, but I will know people who've been married and said, will tell me it didn't come out until the 5th year.
Wow.
Come out till the 7th year.
That can happen.
Okay, there are things that people will hide. And there are family secrets as well that people hold on to. You will all know. That's why at funerals and marriages, sometimes people end up in a fight, because family secrets, especially in the Black community, run deep. So I'm just saying, I only trust God. I don't trust anything else.
Yeah, that makes sense. Pray and get answers. Well, Deborah says there is no normal human. She says there are too many variations, and I agree. Nobody's normal. There's no such thing as normal, but you can strive for some level of balance. Let me see, John. I'm see if we can squeeze in one more call before we go. Area code 602-332. Give us your name and your
welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you. Greetings in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. This is Pastor Don Deere, CEO, and I love the topic of conversation. Love of being 100% real. And that's what we need in this day and age in reality.
And give us your name again. Say that again.
World, Pastor Don Jr., CEO. We're living in a whole world that people don't want to be real. If you got a woman and she's not doing her job, go find another one, but at the same time, let her know I'm going somewhere else. That's all you gotta do. Just say, I'm going somewhere else. Don't stay in a relationship that's volatile in any situation. That's my take on it. I'm just loving the conversation. Salute to y'all. Bless. Have a great 2022.
Okay, well, thank you, Pastor, for calling in.
Thank you very much. We got one more person with their hand up. I just want to say as well, we haven't really talked about things like how can we have happy, healthy children? How can we bring up our happy, healthy children? There was in the last commercial break, there was a spot from you, Naima, where you say, we want to have happy, healthy families. How do we achieve that? That's going to have to be another show.
Absolutely. Because
another show for another day.
Experience. Absolutely. They need to experience what a healthy family feels like in order to reproduce that feeling. And if you've got a family with a lot of dysfunction, then that's all they know. And that's probably what they're going to end up in a relationship, because you tend to be drawn to what is familiar more than what is good.
So we want to thank our about that. That's the question. I think we got one more. Can we just very, very quickly get one more caller in?
I think we did. We just got 602. Oh, that was Rashida. We got her.
All right. Okay. Sorry. Your hand is up.
Yes. So we want to say thank you to all of our guests and callers. We appreciate all of you for joining us. And definitely, Zhana, last word before we go. What do you advocate for somebody who wants to get into a relationship? What's the first step they should take?
It's been a delightful evening. Thank you, everyone. The first step is self-love. Loving yourself, appreciate yourself. If you want to have that beautiful feeling of love with another person, it starts from within.
Love it. That's it. First, love yourself. Fly. First, love yourself. Love it. Well,
thank you, everybody. And thank you, Naima.
Oh, it's been great. Hope you learned something. Put in practice.
We've come to the end of our show today, but you can hear every show in the archives at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. You can also hear today's show on the Female Solution Facebook page. Go to www.facebook.com/the-female-solution. Leave your comments about today's show. You can always reach me on my website at www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com. Watch our TV shows, listen to our radio shows, order our books, and be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion. And to our global family listening from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, Sheshe, India, Zanyaba, Japan, Arigato, and Korea, Kamsamnida, Russia, Spasiba, Germany, Danke, Poland, Jean, France, Merci, Spain, Gracias, Italy, Grazie, Egypt, Shukran, Ghana, Medasi, Nigeria, Eshe, South Africa, Nyabonga, Senegal, Geret, Kenya, Asante, Israel, Toda, Pakistan, Shukriya, Afghanistan, Tashakur, Saudi Arabia, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. And may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.